The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Patrick Walker, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, season 19, episode number 60. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, a very festive and colorful SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We are not the Broncos, we are the Cowboys, and it's just Halloween here, so we're celebrating a little Halloween. Actually, in today's first segment, I got a little bit of some questions. What scares you most? We'll do some of that here in the first segment to get into the spooky spirit. We also have some talk around the NFL, what's going on with the NFC East, the NFC particularly. And then got a little bit of conversation I want to get to a little later in the show on a couple players that had standout games and talk a little about how they're performing this season. We'll get to Lab Coat in the third segment as well. I'm sure we have some interesting numbers that our local scientist has for us to digest over there. Let's start first, as I said before. It is Halloween, so we're going to – I have some questions. I have three questions for you guys, and they are, what scares you more? And I'm going to give you a couple options, and you tell me what scares you more in this spooky holiday of Halloween. First, what scares you more? Dallas doing nothing at the trade deadline or Philadelphia doing something at the trade deadline? Something more, let's say.
Philadelphia doing something more at the trade deadline. I mean – they just recently got Kevin Byard, and then you look at some of the trades they've made over the past couple seasons and where that's gotten them, and you look at A.J. Brown being a primary example of that. I mean, Howie up there in Philly, for as much as you hate the organization, give the guys credit, give the guys roses. I mean, he absolutely knows how to build a team, and he is very aggressive in making sure that his team is as over the top with talent as is possible. So, I mean, when you look at a team that's atop the NFC right now, and then goes out and gets a former All-Pro safety in Kevin Byard, and we're sitting here just hours away from the trade deadline. If they make another splash, then I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, because I think it's one of those things, human nature, that you kind of, I wouldn't say envy, but you're more worried about other people's business than your own. You know, that's just how people are. But back to what Patrick was just saying, the amount of talent that they've been able to acquire in the last few years in such a short period of time. And I don't know how they manage all this cap money and how they make everything work. That's very, very impressive. But it's insane the amount of people that they've been able to get over the past couple of years and manage it to make it work. So, yeah, definitely doesn't help when you got them getting an extra layer of talent, and then you are still kind of here hoping and, trusting what you currently have on your own team.
Yeah, I'm more scared of us not doing anything. That's what I am. I know it's important, and Will McClay builds this roster to win the division. He understands how to compete against Philly and the Giants and the Commanders. And you guys are absolutely right. The aggressiveness to which the Eagles play the player acquisition game. When I hear Steven and Jerry come on 105.3 The Fan, and I love when they come on because, the insight that they give us, but I also cringe when they say personnel evaluation's a 24/7 job. And sometimes I think that rings a little hollow here. I think there's they did make some nice moves with, adding with Gilmore and then adding Cooks. And I'm thinking maybe this is something different. Maybe this is an opportunity now where they've seed, where they can use compensatory picks or mid-round picks and go and obtain talent. And, that was giving me encouragement, but now I'm more scared that we're back to not doing anything, and allowing, and I understand Jerry and his leverage game, when you pick up the phone, you immediately lose leverage. But man, if if there's positions on this team that they've identified as, man, we could use one more of these, and you don't do anything about that, that's the scary part to me. That, this, I said it, earlier last week. This conference is for the taking right now. It really is, with the direction, halfway through the direction that some of these teams are taking. You want to be on the upward tick. And if teams that are going down the wrong way are willing to give up players for picks, I would hope that you would jump in there and get in on that. If San Francisco and the Eagles and those guys make moves that teams you're kind of battling with to win the conference, and you stand pat, that kind of hits me inside a little bit. That, are you doing everything possible to make sure you secure your chance to win this conference and get in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, and I do wonder, I agree with you a lot, Brian, and I do wonder if games like last weekend cloud that a little bit.
Sure.
Like, you have a weekend where everything seems to click, right? Offense, defense, special teams. Yep. And it may lure you into this false sense of security that we've corrected those issues that we had against San Francisco. We're executing at a high level. We don't necessarily need other players to come into this mix. And maybe it masks it in a way to where you just don't think it's as much of a need until, again, the trade deadline will happen today. And then this weekend you play Philly, and some of those things may crop back up, and you're like, wow, maybe it is a personnel issue.
Do you remember, I don't remember this, but back when the Amari trade happened, was that something, who initiated that?
Dallas did. Remember, it was receiver by committee.
Yeah. I remember what was going on currently on the team.
They realized
that was a need. That was like, we are not going to get through this
The Cowboys were
season.
the one to initiate.
Deontay Thompson didn't do it for you?
Yeah, no, not that day. Dallas, and rightfully so, identified that they were committed to receiver by committee through camp in the first 5-6 games of the year, and they realized that receiver by committee was not going to work. And then that's when they went on the aggressive. And to Jerry's point, he gave up a first-round pick to make it work.
Right. Mm-hmm.
For a while there, it looked like that was going to be, after they got Amari, they had a loss against Tennessee, and they were like below 500, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be a top 10 pick. But it ended up being somewhere in the 20s, but that way. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you this, though, and from my personal experience of working in scouting departments, sometimes as a personnel guy, you really want to go make a move. And the first thing you do is you ask your coach, is there anything I could do to help you? Is there anything I could do to help you? And to Ambar's point, though, sometimes these coaches fall in love with their players, and they don't want to move on from a guy. They realize that if they bring on a guy, somebody's going to have to go. Somebody's going to have to be, those 53-man rosters. And coaches fall in love with their players. And so the scouting departments too, but mainly you're going to a coach and you're asking him, how can I help you? Tell me how. I tell us, like, I get people laugh at me all the time for saying this. For Dave Campo, all those years that we went through 5-11, to this day I feel bad that we never helped Dave. And Dave says, but we never were able to. The staff, we never could go out and get somebody because we kind of liked our guys. Mm-hmm. We liked our guys. Even when we were 5-11, we were liking our guys. And that's the handicap that sometimes you deal with as a front office. You don't want to bring a player on and force it on a coach and say, play him, make it work with this guy. Mm-hmm. And that's why you're happy with all your guys, because the coach is happy with all his guys.
Yeah, it's interesting that, and this will transition us, but it's interesting that Jerry Jones mentioned a couple weeks ago that he specifically said the Eagles and the 49ers were a little bit of step ahead of where his team was at the time. So my question for you guys is, which scares you more, playing Philadelphia or playing San Francisco?
It's playing San Francisco. I mean, first I'll be clear in that, I mean, it's sports, it's football. I'm not scared of. I mean, come on. But in playing,
I've been scared before playing teams.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. Bring it. pour honey on me. But
here we go.
To stay within the confines of your game, I'd say San Francisco. This team has proven that it can go to Philadelphia and it can defeat Philadelphia. It can have Philadelphia come to AT&T Stadium, where they currently hold the Cowboys currently hold an 11-game win streak, 111.
Have they done that against Jalen Hurts yet?
No, I will say.
Okay.
But nonetheless,
I mean, last year both teams played without their quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Both teams played without their quarterback 1-1, right? And so have we seen a matchup between Dak and Jalen?
We're about to.
Yeah. Is that going to be this weekend, first time?
Yeah.
So we're going to find out a lot, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, my point being, you go to Dan Quinn being able to scheme up against them, Mike McCarthy being able to scheme. I mean, you can beat the Philadelphia Eagles. It'll be a contest, obviously, but I feel like this is the series that gets split. I think the Cowboys take one. I think Philadelphia takes one. And we'll get to that when we talk about previews. But when you talk about the 49ers, until further notice, you haven't shown. Yeah, they got you. Yeah. They got you until further notice, especially when you look at the manner in which the defeat happened in Santa Clara. I mean, that wasn't even close. You got smoked. So until you show me you can put up a fight against San Francisco, those guys came out of the tunnel with a boombox on your field in the playoffs and knocked you out. That's your boogeyman. That's your boogeyman right now.
Why couldn't they go on a losing streak starting with us?
Or
starting with the Cowboys?
Maybe we're the reason they went on the losing streak.
That's giving too much credit there after what you just said, how they lost that game. No, but yeah, 49ers, I mean, I get it. Eagles, they're inside your division. NFC is a tough matchup. They got a lot of weapons, but I feel like it's always been a pretty close, like, competitive game whenever the Cowboys do face the Eagles. It's never been like a full-on, that I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but it has been a full-on blowout that the Eagles just completely dominated.
You have to go back to when me and Brian were talking about that early 2000s. Yeah, there used to be some blowouts.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but there used to be some blowouts in that matchup.
But usually it's pretty competitive, and it stays within reach.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I would lean towards more the 49ers being that one team in the current history that just you have not been able to beat just yet.
It's 49ers. Yeah, they there's a factor, like I say, Will McClay has figured out he's the type of team that he's built to play within the division. You know, how they, and maybe that's some of the reasons why they're really adverse to moving Tyler Smith back out to tackle because of the way that these teams in the division, and you got rid of one yesterday, with the trade that the Giants made, to the Seattle.
Leonard Williams.
Leonard Williams. So but the way that they're built, he's trying to figure out a way to combat what's going on with these teams. But San Francisco, you really don't have an answer for them right now, scheme-wise especially.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I agree with all you guys, but if you just look at both teams on paper, even if you watch them play on Sundays, I think Philly's a better team. I really do believe Philly is right now, obviously their record says they're the best team in the NFC, the best team in the NFL right now from a record standpoint. And I think when you just look at them on paper, I think they're the better team between them and San Francisco. But I agree with you. For Dallas particularly, until you figure out how to beat San Francisco, there's really nobody else you can compare in that way because they just have Dallas's number right now.
Are you an Eagles fan?
No.
I just hear a lot of kissing.
I'm a big fan of Don Henley and the songs.
You know what I am? Yeah. You know what I am? I'm a realist. And right now, I'm looking at this game this weekend, and I'm thinking this team looks really, really good. And they're not even playing their best football. They're not playing their best football, and they have only lost one time this season. You can call it what you want. I'm just saying this is going to be a monumental task for Dallas this weekend. That's all I'm going to say. All right, now
I'm with you on the kissing, by the way.
I mean, there are ways to say stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but
do some
it's true.
Smooshing.
You going to pick the Cowboys this week?
Heck yeah. I am. Pick it today on a Tuesday.
You pick it today?
She said pick it today.
Yes. I mean, yes.
So no need for me to do my scouting report on the Eagles this week.
No, she doesn't need to hear all that.
The point is, I totally agree. I mean,
wait. As soon as you start talking about their team, it's gonna be a lot more kissing because you're gonna be like, they got a lot of good players in a lot of places.
They do, but you will never hear me. I don't care. if the
You're still
Cowboys
like,
are
who cares? Doesn't
0-8, I will not pick the Eagles to win.
All right, I got one more. What scares you more? Okay, this one's a little intricate, so just follow me here. Dallas's offense versus press man coverage. Remember when they faced that against San Francisco?
Yes.
They were held to 140 yards passing.
Right.
Or Dallas's defense versus pin and pull type rushing attack. Remember when they played Arizona? They rushed for 222 yards against this defense. What scares you more?
Considering who they're about to go up against, and you have the mobile guy, I'm going to go with the latter. I think that pin and pull would probably scare me more, I should say, because I know that, and we've seen it. I mean, if you go back and look at the separation rates from CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks against the Rams, it wasn't that fantastic, but they were able to make explosive plays and get.
Now, a lot of that was against zone.
Yeah, fair. But I just feel like the playmakers can make plays as long as Dak Prescott isn't predetermining where he's throwing the ball, which is, I think, something that kind of cost the Cowboys offense is explosiveness over the first 5 games before they got clicking in game 6. But the other thing is just they really have to figure that out. And Brian keeps pointing it out, and it's magnificent that he does, because until they show that they have figured that out, teams are going to try to keep using that against them. So it's not entirely dissimilar from the San Francisco 49er argument. Until you show you can beat this particular thing, it's going to keep being your boogeyman.
What was the first one again?
Press man coverage. Dallas's offense against press man coverage. That was basically what San Francisco did to them. They basically lined up. They pressed them at the line of scrimmage, played man coverage, and Dallas couldn't seem to get off the press.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know. They're pretty equal to me of things that are a tough one for the Cowboys. And the point is, the problem to me is more the Cowboys haven't consistently shown that they can do something week to week. So depending what the opponent does, I think that they could manage more. And this is totally going against what Patrick just said, the pen and pull, but the man coverage and going that way, and also adding the whole motion, pre-motion.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know what can help you defeat that press coverage? If your quarterback is willing to use his legs and extend plays and buy time.
Yeah, so when you're in man coverage, your back is to the defense.
Correct.
I mean, to the offense.
That extends coverage windows against guys like Cooks and Lamb. So if this version of Dak that we've seen the past couple of weeks continues,
should be able to
then
handle that a lot
I'm much
better.
less worried about
Definitely.
press coverage. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pin and pull for me, man. And nothing more demoralizing than a team that's just running the ball on you and you have no answer for that. All of a sudden it just
And
seems
what do the
like
Eagles do well?
Oh, they're
It's a different kind of running, though. They do a different style of running against you than what we saw there.
I'll tell you, the press coverage stuff's worrying because the Cowboys' offense, when receivers don't get open, is a bad-looking offense.
Yep.
It is a bad, and then your quarterback
True
gets
story.
hit, and if you're not really sure what's going on up front, if you got left tackle problems, if it just. But the pin and pull to me is when teams can demoralize you running the football, and that I feel helpless when you can't stop the run.
Yeah.
Well, they've had issues all season. I feel like, on paper, you come out of games and you see how the running game goes, and the yards do add up.
Yeah.
But visually, while you're watching live, it doesn't look like it's been a good running game, and they have been able to run their ball. And I think it's more because of those. You haven't had those long plays or those plays of you just see Tony Pollard just kind of escape and go for X amount of yards. But I think that's the issue too, that they just haven't been able to fully show that they have a big threat in the running game overall.
That's very true.
They haven't committed to it, really. And, I mean, this last game, it wasn't that they ran bad. They just didn't run much.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like they went into that game with a lot of the runs even were not called runs. They were situations where you're scrambling. But, I mean, that game, they went into the game, it seems to me, the game plan was we're going to throw the ball.
Dallas?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, because even if they got sacked like 3 of the first 4 plays, they still were committed to throwing the football.
Right.
Usually, if you're having problems like that, you take a series or two to kind of, wait a minute, we need to run the ball here and figure out what the problems are. But they're like, no, let's just keep throwing
It's
the ball.
funny
actually,
he says. I was going to say it's funny he says that because in the walk-off after McCarthy's presser yesterday, he spoke on that and kind of jokingly, and he said if he were not the play caller, if he was the head coach, after those couple sacks, he would have backed off and did that exact thing. And he said, but as the play caller, he fought against his better nature and he decided to stick with the pass-heavy attack, and it worked because
they were
committed chunk plays.
They were committed to run. They were committed to throwing the football that game because that you talk about being scared when you keep seeing your quarterback knocked on the ground. You're like going, okay, this is not going to be a fun day. They haven't figured this out, but they got the break from the official. They got the 17-yard pass from to Lamb, and that seemed to kind of get them going.
And Derek, really quickly, correction for those that are listening. We forgot about this. Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott have squared off before. September 2021, Cowboys took that victory 41-21 at AT&T
Was that
Stadium.
Jalen's first year? As a starter?
No, as a starter.
As a starter, yeah. That was first year as a starter.
Jalen had 326, 2-2, so 2 interceptions. Dak had 238, 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. Cowboys hung 40 on them.
Like that, okay.
Yeah, so more of that.
Was that one of those block punt games and maybe something else happened? Give me some scoring.
You said Dak had 3 touchdowns, right?
Did he? Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
They had 238 throwing?
Yeah, 238 throwing.
So it must have been some short fields in there. 238 and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, no doubt. Interesting, just real quick before we go to break, you mentioned that they could have gone in the shell. After those sacks, they passed every time the rest of that series. Yeah. It was pass, incomplete pass, touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Like they didn't go back to the run. So, I think that game, they went into the game saying, we see something here we think we can take advantage of, and they certainly took advantage of it. All right, we're going to take our first break. We'll come back, and we'll talk a little about some stuff that's going on around the NFL. We'll have these guys give us their ranking of the NFC. We're talking about those top 7, 8 teams, those teams that will be playoff teams. How would you rank them? We'll do that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time. But what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to the break.
Salvation Army's 27th annual Red Kettle Kickoff returns to AT&T Stadium this Thanksgiving. Get excited to watch the one and only Dolly Parton rock the stage during a halftime when your Dallas Cowboys go head-to-head against the Washington Commanders. Tune in 3:30 p.m. on CBS.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios. At the start of the segment, brought to you by blockchain.com. Ding. All right, let's keep going. All right, here we go. NFC. Let's talk about the top 8 teams in the NFC. Only 7 will make the playoffs. An interesting note, Minnesota had started off a little rough. They gotten things going, got back to 500, and then they lose their quarterback for the season with a torn ACL, Achilles. And so I don't know how you think about that. The likelihood is that they're probably not going to get better without their starting quarterback. But here are the teams. You got San Francisco at 5-3, Philly at 7-1, Dallas at 5-2, Detroit at 5-2, Seattle at 5-2, right now leading that division actually over San Francisco. Atlanta at 4-4, New Orleans at 4-4, and then Minnesota at 4-4. If you had to put them in order, let's try to give us the top 7 teams and put them in order from top to bottom.
Philadelphia won, right?
I think we all can agree on that, right?
How about Detroit number 2?
Oh, you think Detroit number 2?
Detroit number 2.
All right.
Is anybody got another team?
I wouldn't put Detroit number 2.
I thought we were doing this as a group.
We doing it as a group?
Yeah,
we can do it as a group.
Okay, we can do it as a group.
Yeah.
As we have this conversation, I agree. Philly is 1.
Yeah.
Detroit at 2. Is Seattle better than Detroit? Especially after the recent acquisition?
I think Dallas is better than both of them, in my opinion.
I would go.
You would put Dallas second?
Ahead of Seattle? Well,
I would go Philly.
I think
Detroit.
San Francisco is still second.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Not on a 3-game slide with Purdy playing the way he is.
They also are doing that without Deebo Samuel and without Trent Williams. 2 of their studs. And by the way, the mental. No, I'm not feeling sorry for them. I'm not feeling sorry for them. What I'm saying is that if they are around when it comes time for playoffs, and we've seen this from San Francisco before, they have these parts of the season where it's like, oh, what's happening with San Francisco? Oh, they're dead. And then right there around mid-December, they get on this swing and they just start rolling. And then they get into the playoffs and they do damage.
But we're not talking about mid-December. We're talking about right now.
What I'm saying is if I'm putting them in order of the best team.
So you want us to predict the future?
Yes, I do, because that's what we're doing.
I thought we were doing like as of right now.
No, I'm saying we're talking about, because we're talking about the rest of the season playing out and who's going to be in the playoffs once we get there. These are the teams that are kind of in the mix right now.
I would be rich. If I could predict the future like that, I would be balling right now.
You know, a part of all of our job descriptions being on this show is
projection.
Predict the future. That's what we do. Let's go.
I agree
Philadelphia, Detroit, San Francisco, Dallas, with Seattle, and now comes the fun part.
Yeah.
Man, I think New Orleans is going to figure out a way to win the South.
Okay.
But where do I have San Francisco? I have San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco third.
Third, Dallas 4. Let's go New Orleans 5. And
that would be 6, actually.
6. Minnesota 7.
So Atlanta out, Minnesota would be the one in for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with Philly at 1. San Francisco, until further notice, they're better. San Francisco, I put San Francisco at 2, Dallas at 3. I'm going to give Seattle the nod over Detroit.
Okay.
I like how Detroit is playing, but they also got killed in Baltimore. We know how that feels to get killed in a week. But Seattle was already playing well, already leading their division, and then what did they do? They get a deal done to get Leonard Williams, I believe. So they just got better, arguably. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Detroit is my 5. Okay. NFC South is going to be very interesting because I could see what Brian is saying. I think the Saints.
I don't trust Atlanta. I just don't.
Nor should you, but it feels like they're not far behind New Orleans, and it feels like they're starting to try to get Kyle Pitts involved, and then of course they have Bijan, and when you have Bijan, you got a chance. So I think with Minnesota losing Kirk Cousins, I think the NFC South might squeak 2 teams into the playoffs. So what do I got? Philadelphia, San Francisco, Dallas, Seattle, Detroit, and then I'll take the 2 NFC South teams. I think Atlanta wins that division, but I do think at number 7,
Atlanta's got no quarterback.
Does New Orleans?
I'm not going to stand on it. I'm not going to stand on the hill for Desmond
Carr or
Ritter.
Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think their quarterback situation. I know Ritter's not good. He's not good, but I also don't think Carr's very good.
That's what I'm saying.
I just don't think when I've watched New Orleans this year, I'm like their offense sputters a lot.
We'll learn a lot about Seattle.
Look at Carr's frustration here over the past few days and how he's starting to speak and saying, "Well, I have to do better at managing my emotions." Well, that's quite telling that you have to come out and say that. That means, to your point, things are not going well offensively.
Well, let's think about Carr. I mean, Carr's traditionally. The problem with him is his consistency. He just has not been consistent. He'll have a good game here, and then he'll have 2 or 3 bad games here.
So he'll 9 and 8 you all day.
Absolutely. So that's why I don't really trust him as much as I know Ritter isn't necessarily doing great out there in Atlanta. I do think I actually believe the other offensive weapons in Atlanta are better than the offensive weapons in New Orleans, and that may be the difference.
Could Tampa make some waves in the NFC South between Atlanta and New Orleans? Do you think they could possibly?
See, that's the interesting part.
Their
quarterback's right in par with those other guys, right?
They're competitive as well.
Yeah.
So NFC South's going to be interesting. But outside of the NFC South, finishing up my 6th and 7th, I mean, what are we talking about? The Rams competitive, but UCL injury on Stafford, that's going to hurt them. Washington,
have they said what the prognosis is on that?
I don't know what the week-to-week prognosis is.
Tampa's got a shot here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Tampa has a shot.
They're at Houston. They got Tennessee at home, at San Francisco. We'll see. Indianapolis on the road, and Carolina, and then Atlanta.
That's an easy schedule.
They're kind of in that mode right now.
They can make a wave down there.
But they're 3-4 right now too.
Yeah.
But they've lost 3 straight. They've lost to Detroit, Atlanta, and at Buffalo. So,
who you got?
No, I skipped this question because
Cowboys won.
And that's it.
No, hold on. I'm not that crazy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dallas.
No, because you see, I take my predictions very seriously.
Oh, sorry.
And
did you see how she said that?
Yeah.
Very seriously.
She emphatically told us that. Yeah.
Because you got to look at so many different things. And I'll be honest, I don't sit here and watch every single game of all the teams. Every time we're going to face an opponent is when I look at who we're looking like. Philadelphia. Obviously, you know the gist of things and you follow the general news and all that. But for example, even you mentioning the schedules, that's something that takes into account. Like, who else are they playing for the rest of the season? So there are a lot of components where I'm not going to sit here and give you guys an uneducated guess over here. I take my job seriously.
Fair.
Seattle's
I'm a professional that admits when I don't know right now.
I'm outside of my depth.
But you said you over there smooching.
Seattle's at the Ravens next weekend too, by the way.
That'll be a good. That'll give us a good indicator of if Seattle really is in that upper echelon of teams. I don't know. Have they had a game like that yet against a really good team?
I thought they were going to lose to Cleveland.
Cleveland's good though. Cleveland's defense
Cleveland had them on the
really
ropes,
good.
and they turned the ball over. I mean, it was crazy. But maybe Seattle. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Let's take our final break. When we come back, we will talk a little bit about a couple guys. There are 2 names I want to throw at you guys: Chuma Edoga and Osa Odigizua. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change. A proud partner of the Cowboys is faster than you think. There's no appointment needed and no waiting room. Yep, you heard that correctly. Take 5 is so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's fast, friendly, and simple service at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to the break.
Okay, head to the Pro Shop at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas on Saturday, November 4th for the final stop of the 2023 Cowboys Collections on tour. See rare team archives, custom headwear, grab a gift with a purchase, and enter for a chance to win a giveaway.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Here's what we're going to do in this final segment. I have two names I want to give to you guys. There were some interesting stats about each one of them I wanted to talk about. Chuma Edoga, let's start with him. Offensive tackle. This week he's playing for Tyron. He was playing for Tyron Smith, who was out injured. Check this out. He only allowed 2 pressures on 36 pass blocking snaps. Only 1 sack allowed. That happened in the first play of the game, and then he didn't allow another sack. He only allowed 1 other pressure in the game. What's the difference right now between Tyron Smith and Chuma Edoga?
Probably name, experience.
I'll go with that one.
Probably the fear of the opponent. Going against Edoga to an opponent would be, I think I could probably break this guy down. I think I could probably get around him. Tyron Smith, there's a history there. It's kind of like, I've seen this guy play at such a high level. He hasn't played at a high level in a long time. He still plays at a level that's probably a little north of what Chuma Edoga is.
That's what I'm talking about. What is the difference there? In their playability, what's the difference?
Yeah, Tyron Smith now will miss blocks. He won't be able to cut the guy off. Chuma Edoga will do the same thing. They're very similar in that regard, that you will see the occasional breakdown where, he didn't get to the second level. Where before, there was times where Tyron Smith, you get him in space, and we've seen it on crack toss where they bring some receiver inside, they crack the edge, and they get him, and now he's just railroading some safety or, that's the biggest fear of a defender right there is that Tyron Smith in space, I think that's a really huge difference. But as far as pass blocking goes, Tyron Smith can be broken down, but so could Chuma Edoga. And I think that's where the run game aspect of it, I think, is a little bit higher for Smith than it is for Edoga.
For me, it is the experience aspect and all that comes with it. While the physical attributes are starting to slide as Tyron Smith gets into the dusk of his Hall of Fame career, he still has a certain amount of veteran savvy that Chuma just doesn't have because he doesn't have the years under his belt, the experience of having played at such a high level as Tyron Smith. So my answer is really just straightforward. It's just the experience aspect. When Tyron is healthy, that's who you want to have out there because he'll be able to. He knows what looks to kind of react to and which way to go and do. And this is stuff that Chuma is still kind of figuring out, even though he's playing well, especially being thrown into the fire as he is. But yeah, it's still Tyron Smith takes the edge over Chuma, if only for experience and veteran savvy and being able to also teach Tyler on every single rep as the game goes along. That's something that Chuma can do, but not to the extent that a potential first ballot Hall of Famer can do.
Yeah, I think with Tyron, you definitely have to still show respect because of the experience and everything that you guys mentioned. But if we were to play, if there was some sort of masked player, the masked singer, if you were adapt the whole masked singer into masked football player and you weren't looking at the physique or anything like that and just watching the plays.
If they didn't have a number on
and you just saw the results.
Right. You just saw the results, and I think it would be hard right now to tell who's who because they are playing at the level. I still see Tyron all the way over here, Chuma all the way here, but they're both playing right here in the middle where Chuma is playing up the level that we expected. And then Tyron is just kind of he's still giving you stuff, but you're not getting him at his prime anymore.
Chuma playing at a high level, but it just shows you how far that Tyron Smith has come down.
Yeah, so they kind of met in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good analogy what you gave.
All right, I want to throw out another name to you guys. Osa Odigizua. Check this out. He generated 6 pressures on 19 pass rushes. That's a 31.6% pass rush win rate. He was second. It was the second game this year when he had 25% plus pressure rate. He was double teamed. This was the interesting part. He was double teamed almost half, 9 of the 19 times. 47.4% of the time he was double teamed. And on 4 of those 9 when he was double teamed, he still got pressure. Is also Odigizua, outside of Micah, is he the best player on this defense outside of Micah?
Yes. Mm-hmm. He's the most consistent.
More than Bland.
Bland is.
I knew that was going to get you.
No,
I knew that was going to get him.
Bland's
now you're pitting 2 of my tops against each other. Ooh, that was smooth. I like it.
If those 2 plays, the plays at the Chargers games were hit on Bland, and we might think differently about Bland. Just in thought.
Those two when they overthrew him.
Yeah, just in thought.
Yeah,
just in thought. I think Bland's been outstanding. I'm not trying to discredit Bland at all. I think when the situation that he was thrown into with Diggs being out, expectations, I don't know why teams throw the ball at him, but I think we might think differently of him. Just the optics of it, well, he gave up two, but corners bite on routes.
Yep.
It happens in the league.
Especially if you're getting picks.
If you're a ball hawk,
I just think that Udoka from Giants game to Rams game, if you look at his graph, it would be going up. Every week it seems like it's going up. There's not that violent, he had a 2-sack game. He's gone 2 games without any tackles. Mm-hmm. Wait, he's got another sack and a half. It's not that. It's all been very steady in the way that he's played.
Wow, you did throw me for the loop with the Ron Bland. I'm still going to give the slight, and I do mean slight, because Bland is absolutely him. But Osa, for me, goes back to last year. He had a breakout season last year, all things considered. Goes into the offseason, and you expect that he's going to take a jump this year, but look at the jump he's taken, and then look at his work ethic, and I had a good conversation with him earlier this year about his preparation. I mean, he's doing everything from adding Pilates to his formula.
He remade his body. Let's be clear about it. He's a different kind of, he's a different style of player.
He's absolutely chiseled, like an Olympian god type chisel. He's something different. And then when you go back and you look at the film, to Brian's point, of every single game, though he's not a name that you're hearing regularly, go look at how he wrecks the interior of the opposing offensive line. He's always back there. And for me, drawing a holding penalty is as good as a sack to me, because that's 10 yards. And guess what he did against the Rams? He drew a holding penalty, and he would draw some more often if the refs get blah, 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 blah. But Osa is a game wrecker. And I'm going to say this, much like I said with DeRon Bland, as far as the career arc, I think he'll be up there with Sauce, if not better. Osa is on an Aaron Donald-esque trajectory as far as if he continues to do what he's doing and it just keeps going up. A year from now, what does Osa look like? You have to start talking about him as an interior game wrecker in the same breath. Not saying he will be Aaron Donald in the end, but he is earning the right to be in the conversation of that kind of air as far as game wreckers from the interior of the D-line. There is no reason an interior defensive lineman should be able to have the best pass rush win percentage on a team that has Micah Parsons on it. You see what I mean? That's ridiculous.
Well, but in some respects, that may help him.
No, it absolutely does help him. My point being the fact that he's able to do that, and yes, he's taking advantage of Micah being there and DeMarcus being on the opposite side. He is, but I believe that if you took one of those guys out, Osa would still wreck games. Maybe not to this particular aspect because they got a key in on Micah, but Osa he's just that dude. He is that dude. So no, I mean his last name isn't the easiest. It's not marketable, but it's fun. Zua. So it's right up there with the Puka Nakuas, right?
I was gonna say his name went from someone, at least to me when he first started, that you're like, okay, he's just somebody else added on the team. Right. Yeah, okay, we got another player. To now, who Osa Odigizua is. So he's elevated his game so much, and sometimes very impressive to always see somebody of that size have the quickness that he does. Mm-hmm. So and he has changed his body a lot, but still seeing the progress, the transitioning, the improvement of just getting faster every time and better. It's very, very impressive, and I think he's done an amazing job.
And last thing real quick, and Ambar is going to love this because she will agree with it. On DeRon Bland, they're similar in that DeRon Bland, he's the shy, jovial. Now, Osa isn't shy, but he's just this big, jolly guy. Reminds me of Joe Looney, right, in that aspect. But when the pads go on, you're talking about demon time, that switch flips, and it's just bad news for everybody.
Yeah, when you consistently look at the metrics of the top pressure defensive tackles in the league, he's in the top 5 every week.
Yep.
With all those outstanding names.
It's an animal.
All right, let's get a little lab coat here before we end the show. What we got, Patrick?
Bring me in, Bieber.
Yes, science.
Nice. Now there are a ton of numbers that I could throw at you here, but I'm just going to keep it real simple. When it comes to Jalen Hurts, I'm going to harken back to what I said a few weeks ago in that his rate of turnovers is at a career pace. He's going up against a Cowboys defense that is one of the best in the league in takeaways. So the magic number here is 8. 8 is the magic number. Jalen Hurts, his career high in interceptions coming into the season was 9. He had only thrown 9 as a max. He's already at 8 through 8 games. He's averaging 1 per. He's on pace for 17.
That's a problem.
That's a problem because Dak had 15 last. Dak had 15 last year, and the world exploded. Jalen Hurts is on pace to break that by 2. Yep. So that's going to be key, and also the number 8 works in the Cowboys' favor in respect to Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott is 8-3 against the Philadelphia Eagles. In that, he's 3-2 in Philadelphia. Dak knows how to go into Philadelphia and win games. So Dak has 8 wins out of 11 against the Philadelphia Eagles, and Jalen Hurts has thrown 8 interceptions. He's one of the league leaders in that category. So he will throw the ball in suspicious ways, and when he does,
like how you say Deron
Bland will be and Stephon Gilmore might be there to seal the game with it. Jordan Lewis, don't forget him. So opportunities will be there. Magic number is 8, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, that's good stuff. We will tomorrow break that down a little bit more.
Derek wants to tell you that receiver will have 8 catches.
Man, I keep watching that offense. I'm like, those receivers are a problem.
Come back with his scouting report and just trash everything that you just said that's positive.
And we'll get into that tomorrow. We'll do Cowboys offense versus the Eagles defense tomorrow. They got players on that defense too. That secondary can be had though. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Till then, for Patrick Walker, Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,